What's up, guys? In today's video we have a lot going on, a lot to do. If you saw my last video, you'll know the horrible, painful mistake I made with the seam sealer. So in this video we're pulling it, scuffing everything down, getting it ready for paint. Then we're going to apply the new seam sealer. I'm going to show you more on how I masked it off, that horribly fun process that I went through. Then we're going to let everything cure. We're going to apply the top coat. We're going to apply the clear coat. After the paint cures, we're going to be applying 3M rubberized undercoating, and then we'll be done with this base. So stick around to the end. Let me know what you think of the finally finished painted bay. This is what we're working with. I'm going to leave this portion just because I did take my time on that, as you guys saw in the last video. But all this will need to be removed. I'm going to leave this just because I can clean this up. And there's no real way to make that look nice anyway, since it's like a double recess in there. All pulling all of this. It's going to be a long day. Obviously, I have to clean up everything first. I'm going to vacuum everything out. I'm sure it'll go a lot quicker because I have new seam sealer. I have a bunch of nozzles, which was where I messed up in the first place. Tape that is meant for contours and turns and flexibility. Some more 3M auto tape. This should go a lot smoother this time. You get it a lot smoother because I messed up and it was not smooth. Haha. Yes, it's like 7 a.m. so I'm still waking up. We are ready to reapply the seam sealer. I did a little touch-up job on that tower because I noticed it looked a little wonky, which it still will, but it'll look less. Don't have the patience to strip it all down and re-weld, so we're moving on. I also touched up that corner, just again because the primer showed some high spots. So my attack for the seam sealer this time is to use the correct tape. We also got a million nozzles, mixing nozzles for the seam sealer. So that's mainly why we ran into the issue where I tried to rush it. We're going to blow everything out first. Then we're going to seam seal. We're going to do it in sections. I'm going to videotape this time. I don't think I did last time. Then we're going to smooth it out, rip off the tape, and hopefully it looks how I'm expecting it to look. After this seam seal, we're going to blow it down one more time, tack everything down, clean it, make sure everything's good. Primer again on the spots that I touched up. Got the first little section taped off. It's a miracle how much time using this vinyl tape saved me. You don't really have to use that 3M automotive tape, but I'm going to use it just because I don't want to make any mistakes, so I'm just going to line it up with the borders of the vinyl tape. That way I don't have to worry about it bleeding over, I guess. Just extra precaution. This is what it looks like. It's ready for the seam sealer. This looks a lot cleaner than my first attempt, of course. I am going to just hit around this and this. I have more than enough nozzles and I don't want to risk it curing too fast again. And then I'll hit this and then this on the next run. That went much smoother. I do have to be more thoughtful of how I pull the tape on this next area, as I'm just gonna make sure I can just pull it off all in one direction. But it looks good. I'm happy with it. We're done with the seam sealer. I stopped using the green tape because it was taking too long and I was over it. So I do have to clean up some areas where I brushed it a little bit. But overall, I'm happy with the result. Pro tip for people trying to smooth out the sealer: get some alcohol, like 70%, and dip your finger in it before you smooth everything out. That way it doesn't get all over the glove that you're using. You can use like seam sealer solvent, but here in California, that's not legal. It is 1 a.m. and we got 2 coats on. I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to spray the last coat and then the clear coat because it's too cold out right now. It's taking much longer than I had hoped for it to cure. Like, it's been 45 minutes and it's still tacky. So I'm gonna let it cure overnight and then just blow it out tomorrow morning and spray everything. It is the next morning and it looks pretty good. I was worried last night. I still have another coat to do. One paint drip from the rattle can, which is as expected. So I'm gonna hit that with the 600 grit wet sand, and then I'm going to blow everything out, scuff everything. Then I'm gonna go for the last coat, and then clear coat, and then I gotta go to work. Decisions were made and delays were delayed, so I ended up pulling the seam sealer on the Firewall because it looked horrible. I wasn't happy with it. I cleaned it out already last night, so if you see like dirt or whatever, old seam sealer on the top coat, it's fine. So I need to reapply that, smooth it out, primer it, and the bay's almost ready for gloss. But that was just eating me up staring at that. You know, it feels like hidden like in the corner over there. That'd be one thing, but this is like right at the focal point. I know probably no one would notice it, but I would, and that ate me up. So in true fashion, we have more delays. I'm tired, I'm ready for this to be done, but I also don't want to sacrifice how it looks. I don't want to settle, especially when I'm so close. And I'm extremely happy with how just the top coat looks. Because once I gloss it, it's going to look a million times better. So let's get that done. Just applied the seam sealer. I'm very happy that I took the time to redo this because this looks a million times better. Obviously I still need to paint it, and when I knew this was going to happen, but when I pulled the vinyl tape, it peeled off some of the top coat, which is fine. I knew that was going to happen. Overall, I'm extremely happy I took the time to do this because now it's going to look great. This is what we're working with. So I've put on all of the coats of paint. I just need to touch up. I got one drip right there. I'm sure I have more drips, but that's the only one that I noticed so far. But overall, I'm pretty happy. This is before I even put on the clear coat, so it already looks good to me. So once I put on the clear, it's going to look even better. Since I let it cure overnight, I'm going to hit it with the 600 grit so it can grab. And then I will be free at last. It's finally done. It's a miracle. I'm extremely happy with how it looks. There are some small imperfections. Obviously, this is not a paint environment, so I do have to do some light, 1000 grit sanding for some specks that got into it. Like, there's a small little speck there, a piece of dirt here. So next on the chopping block is I'm gonna let this cure for 48 hours. It's only been 24 before I mess with anything. So I'm gonna light sand those little spots out, whatever, polish it out, and then I'm going to be taping off the top section and spraying all this bottom with the undercoating. So just gotta follow this seam here. It is 72 hours later, so it should be fully cured to a point where I can work on these imperfections. So as I mentioned, there is a drip right there in the clear, which isn't a big issue. Also, there's just little hairs here and there. So I'm gonna sand those out, let you guys know the process. The hairs and little specks are inevitable when you're painting in a garage that's not a suitable paint environment. I'm gonna be sanding the spots down, focusing directly on the spot. So I got 1500, 2000, 3000. Then I have a buffing polishing set so I can polish it out. We'll be using these 2 compounds once I'm done sanding to polish it out. So the ultimate compound first and then the ultimate polish. That's just to get it back to blending well. When I sand it down, it's going to be a little dull in that area as well as those little spots. So I just want to make sure it looks decent. This was the cheaper option. I think these are 15 bucks each versus they have the pro grade polish and cutting compounds, but those were 40 bucks each, and I'm not spending 40 bucks on that. All done. I addressed the drip and then I hit a few spots of the hair. Honestly, I am done. I don't want to do anymore. Just like if you see me in person, I'm always covered in dog hair. I have a Samoyed and an Australian Shepherd, which means there's hair on me all the time. And why not reflect that in my engine bay too? And in this car, I take my dogs with me, so I purposely don't run a passenger seat so they can fit. The hairs aren't noticeable from a distance, which is exactly what I care about because any sane person is not coming up to the engine bay staring real close. It's time to apply the 3M rubberized undercoating. I'm going to do it all in the bottom portion of the engine bay as well as the wheel wells and put some fresh stuff in there. I began to mask it off because everyone knows how much I love masking. I'm going to apply the painter's plastic around everything. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then I'm going to be under the car, I guess, spraying this. I think if I could go back, I'd probably spray this first, but maybe you guys can do that if you choose to take on this project. But we're getting there. It's going to be finished by tonight. It's all masked off. I'm going to rub it down with some red Scotch-Brite, then blow it out, and then hit it with some degreaser. It looks so good. I'm so happy. Holy wow. You probably can't really see it because the lighting is not great because it's pretty late now, but it looks exactly how I envisioned it. And it went really well. The only place I had like a few little drops of overspray was like over here, but since it's rubberized undercoating, you just wipe it off. I just wiped it off with a rag. I did not get a chance to do the wheel wells yet because I did a lot of welding in that area, specifically on this side, and the undersides of the welds, you know, they've been left to the open air, so it has some like surface rust. So I'm gonna put the old Rust-Mort from SEM on there. Of course, I'm going to sand down what I can and try to remove it all, but I know like the little tiny areas of it I'm not going to be able to get, so this is exactly what this product is for. Apply this tomorrow, then I'm going to primer the wheel wells and then apply that undercoat so everything's nice and fresh. We just applied the SEM Rust-Mort. I didn't film anything because there's not much to it. Basically on the undersides of the welds. Sanded it down with a wire wheel, then I applied that stuff on just like a, I guess you call these like makeup cotton pads. You do that, you let it sit, the rust turns black, which indicates it worked, and then you dab it down with some water and then hit it with the air compressor to dry it out. And now I just primered those areas that I did get down to metal. I cleaned some of the wheel well rubberized undercoating out. I didn't remove it because it was solid, but I just cleaned it up. Some areas were chipping because back in the day when I was lower, I would rub. It's gonna be the last step for this project, and then I can finally start installing some parts. The only thing left is a final clean. Then I'm gonna wipe everything down. Then I'm going to protect everything, right? Because the last thing I want is I'm installing these parts and then I accidentally lower the engine, it hits the firewall or something, and then it nicks the paint, and then I will cry. So we're gonna do that, and that'll all be in the next video. It's been rough, let me tell you, but the end result I'm amazingly happy with. I'm super proud of my work. Hopefully you can take something away from this series that will help you with your build. We can finally move on to installing the mountain of parts that I have and getting back to the original plan, which was just a wire tuck. So in the next series, we're going to be reinstalling everything. I'm going to go over all of the parts that I've collected over the past couple months, and we're going to get it back on the street. That pretty much wraps up this video. We're going to end it with a little montage of the work, a little cinematic, if you will. I won't bore you guys any longer. Make sure you like the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.